Okay, well, we're back on the online ordering system. That's what I'm calling it for now, part four. And in this section of it all, we are going to, I'm just going to go briefly what we're going to cover here. So, we're going to be adding our Azure SQL connection string. We're going to view the plan for placing the order. We're going to review the order tables that I've already created. We're going to review the order detail table. We're going to set up the project, the solution to a complete solution structure. And we're going to add Entity Framework Core and wire up Entity Framework to the .NET Core 5.0 MVC app that all of this is designated for. So, yeah, that's what's coming up. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're back. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is start setting up to connect to our Azure database. Okay, and we want to put that in a not so accessible place. Let's go to properties. And we're going to put that in the where am I? We're going to add an environment variable here. So this will be EasyShop242, and in here, that's where you add connection string stuff. Okay, and that should do it. Okay, I'm going to come back and replace it with the real connection string. So we're going to close this. And if you want to know where environment variables are kept, if you look at the properties and you go to this JSON file here, this is where they keep environment variable stuffies. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break here and put in the real connection string, but I just wanted to demonstrate that. Kind of another thing we wanted to do here is let's just review the app and just get an understanding of what we want to see happen. Okay. Oops. Drag you on over here. So we want when the customer comes in, they click Shop Now, they select the same day delivery. Then they will be selecting the store in which you're going to be picking up that order. Okay, this is hard coded into the web page, and then we want to be able to add items that we want from the store. This is the exact business logic I got. I don't know, bag of apples, add. We'll probably put some JavaScript there to make sure that hot dogs, and that's a new business idea. Hot dogs. Okay. And we allow this interface to edit and delete. The key thing is when we submit the order, we have to make sure parameterize this data that's going in to prevent us from SQL injection. Okay? So that's what we're going to get ready to figure out right now. So we're going to just pop over to the database. I'm using Azure Data Studio. I've already set up the database in Azure. And so we're looking at the orders table right now. So this is just, it's empty. And so the game plan is when the person selects an organization, which will be the store they want us to shop at, we're going to generate an order number. This is something that will be visible to people who have to process the order date, and then the status of that order, and then this may come in, and the user ID. So we're going to have people create an account to order, and we get some history, and they don't have to keep entering their address and everything. So we're gonna allow people as they order to create an account or make it optional, you know. Those weren't really touched in these specs, but you know, developing for such a long time, just kind of bring that up. I guess I'll show you the order details next. Okay, here's the order details. We have the order item, which will be an automatically generated primary key, and then the order ID, the actual ID, primary key, the orders table, that all these, and then the product, we just kept it simple. It's going to be what you type in there, and so that's why SQL injection is protecting against SQL injection and all the other things that can happen in an app is kind of important here. So that's where all of this is going to come into play. Yeah. So, you know, if you're lucky that you get to interact with the back end and the front end and do full stack development, boy, it's a lot of stuff to consider. So now, with that said, let's go ahead and complete the structure for this project. We're going to hit add, new project, and what we have on the screen right now, what we have in our solutions right now is the partial UI. There's lots to go. Let's get setting up with everything as it should be. Unfortunately, I should have named it EasyShop242.web, but we'll forgive that. So right now we're going to go ahead and start creating the other components that we need to make this a fully functional app. Next. And this will be, let's go. This will be EasyShop242, which is the area code dot data. This one will be putting our entity framework thing in the stuff. And for that, we're going to go with 5.0. And then we'll go ahead and have that created. That's where we'll have all of our database, our entity framework that talks to our data store. And as traditionally we do, new project. We'll create another class library. We'll name this EasyShop242.domain. And that's where we'll be keeping all of our business logic. And as well, 5.0, cool, create. So set up to something great. We have our data, our domain, web UI, and well, that's the initial setup of our project. So let's get ahead and wire up Entity Framework. Okay, so we've already established that we're using SQL Server. So what we'll do is, for persisting our data, we will use, let's go ahead and get us some Entity Framework. Okay, I have none. So this is Entity Framework Core. But because I already know that I'm going to persist in a SQL server, it is best to just start off with Entity Framework Core SQL Server. This will make NuGet package will, when you go for the specific provider, it's going to make sure I'm pulling everything. So you can see here where it has relational and all its dependencies. You know, I would have to install those afterwards. The Entity Framework Core is like the base package. So you'll get all of this plus everything specifically for SQL Server. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and hit install. And that gets you it plus all the dependencies required for working with a relational database. See that? Wow, all of that. Let NuGet package do all the work for you. Okay, I accept. So I just wanted to demonstrate that so you could, save yourself some time. Now, just in case you were interested what's all going on here, when we added Entity Framework, go into Dependencies and there's our Entity Framework. If you look at the project file, you'll see that there's a reference to Entity Framework. So just kind of want to make all that known. All right, let's go ahead and wire up Entity Framework. So first things first, we want our data project to have access to the business logic stuff, so all the classes. So it'll need to reference the domain class, because that's where we'll be putting objects and everything. So when we do that, go into Dependencies and add a reference. And we want to make sure our data will be returning the right objects and everything that we have in our domain class. You click OK, and voila! Interestingly enough, let's go ahead and start adding Entity Framework Core. I'm just going to be saying Entity Framework. So we'll do that. We'll create a class for the data context. So we'll name this EasyShop242 context. And so fire away. That will need to be a public class. That'll be a public class that references DB. If I did that right, that should allow Entity Framework picked it up, of course. All right, and there it added it to our. Now let's start figuring out what we're going to do here. So what I need to do is a quick little detour here. Okay, I need to create the classes for our DB sets. And so we'll go over to the domain, and we'll add class. I don't think this is going to be a big application, so I'm just going to put here our order class. And so we'll go ahead and add that class, make it public. And of course, what this is going to look like is going to follow the stuff that we have in our database. So for the orders table, we'll have that order ID. So let's go. How many properties we're gonna need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So five different classes. And I'm looking over here at our orders. And just want to check the data types. So of course this will be int, and this will be our, okay, so we'll go here with our order ID. That didn't go as planned. Initially, I have them in the database as integer. Again, I'm gonna turn those to, so I'll go make these changes in the database when I'm done here, but make those long. I'm sure this is gonna be an integer. Okay, let's not push it. If it gets there, then we'll make the change. Keep that as organization ID. Be careful, Shane. Stop being in a rush. Order number, and this won't be an integer. This will be string. Boy, I remember when this used to be a lot of work back in the day. Order status and ID. So that's gonna eventually be a foreign key that reference a list of statuses, because an order will go through several statuses. And this last one, and I will let that stay integer until I see a reason it shouldn't be. And user ID, which I know is going to be GUID. Soon enough. Yeah, it's gonna be a GUID. So that will be our orders. Let's create another class here. And this will be the order detail. New item, we'll just snack down here and just select class. And we'll name it order detail. And the order detail, what do we have there? Again, how many columns we have here? 1, 2, 3 so far? Okay. 1. Oh no, don't do that. 2. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong key. Okay, and this will be our item ID, and this will be a foreign key for order ID. I may add things to this for other reasons. And this will be the product. And this is set as startup project. And so we already have the database set up. I haven't finished this context yet. But this will now allow us to create our DB sets. So let's see if I get this Right. Okay. Public. I hope I made those public. DB set. For instance, you. Well, I could have done the same thing. And we'll name it orders. Of course. Not sure why I typed this one out. Oh my gosh. And we'll hopefully let it reference the project. So it's in our domain project. It identifies everything it needs. Yes. Let's go. And voila. And for the order detail, come on. Control tab. Order. What did I name the damn thing? Yeah, it is order detail. Oh, is it public? No. Man. I'm shooting myself in the foot. I'm really starting to make a lot of stupid mistakes. I don't know if I should call them all stupid. And then this will be our order details set. Okay? So we'll just stop here for right now. So I kind of went ahead and rushed into creating these classes. Okay, I just want to explain. I'm pretty sure you got it, but I'm gonna go ahead and explain why we created these classes, because these classes are gonna represent the data we have in our database. So let's just do this real quick. So I'm gonna switch over to Azure Data Studio real quick. And so you can see here we have these three tables now in the database. And that data, that class, that domain class, the two things that I created was order item. I'm getting ready to create the organization, but it's reflecting the data that we expect to have in these tables. So that when we're using Entity Framework to write that data to the database, it's going to populate each one of these columns down here. So that's where we're heading. And so I'll go ahead and create organization, and we'll just keep proceeding. So that's why I did all of that. I'm kind of in the project backwards sometimes. So with that said, we have our data context, we have our data sets for order detail. Might as well get this out of the way, create another new class. And we will name this one, take a look at the organization. We'll add it to our data domain, which will have all our business logic and classes. I'm expecting this to be small, so I don't really get into coordinate that a lot more. Folders. Anyway, see how many fields we have in our database at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me get their data types. All right, so we'll just make 6 of them and switch the type as we move along. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Sometimes I just copy the name as it is. So that's an integer. I don't really think this is going to be dealing with the number of records getting bigger than this. And we'll call this a string. Okay. So this is where we'll be storing the organization, those stores in which the client will be going to pick up things. So phone number, a fax number. I don't even know if fax number is necessary. And want to give, when we're creating the administrative portions, want to give a way to get rid of all of the stop things from showing up in the list. So we got website, phone number. If you don't add it, turn it into a string, and this will be Boolean. Now this may have to change because some fields will be nullable, but if that's the case, then you just hit it with a nullable. But I don't. We'll find out what happens as we go. But we want to make this also accessible over on this side of the fence. Okay, and this will be a DB set. Yes. Type. What are we dealing with now? Hey, organization. And then this is good at suggesting me. Oh! Okay, Shane. That's apparently highlighted. Organizations. There we go. Now, why don't you make the job life harder, huh? 2 spaces instead of 1? Well. Make sure everything lines up automatically. Cool. All right. So there we are. Those are our DB sets. Okay. Finally, one last piece to add here because of course, when we get ready to use this DB context, we're going to be using DI, dependency injection. And that will require me to inject the configurations to get the connection string and everything. So with that said, we'll create a DB context. No, the options. So when we inject into this thing, we can set up all the connection string. So that's will all be included in there. Almost done here. This will be the base. And we will. So when I go into the UI, which is this what's open up right now, when we do an injection, when we do a dependency injection, we're going to need this overload to configure all of the connection string stuff and logging. Alrighty. So this needs, that's what I was doing. We need references to both of these. And when you are using entity framework, which you have to build, I think it breaks a step. I'll say no to you. Okay, so this is our context ready. We don't have any of the configuration in here yet. We may have to come back here and do different things, but for right now, we're getting ready to use the connection string to be configured from the actual API up here. So we're going to start method. Okay, so we're going to go to set this up. See what are my notes here. All right, so for now, the contacts, database contacts, and we've already joined that project, so we can go ahead and set easy. There it is. Voila. And so, remember when I put in that overload? This is where we do set things and the stuff. So, the options. So when we go, this is the U SQL. That. And we're keeping that information in our environment variable. So I went ahead and, as you know, I created that environment variable. So this has the connection to the connection string to the Azure database. Okay. What else are we doing here? That's going to come in handy. And what else? Configure option dot enable logging. Dot tracking behavior, and I want to track it. Because the end of this is right there. Okay, so those two are connected. All right. So this will put the connection string in there, and in theory, our database should be all wired up. Let's do a quick build solution. See if anything pops up. Okay. we're gonna have a quick run of it. I don't know if I broke something. We're gonna definitely put in Easy Shop. And so this is where we're at. We're not getting this from the database right now. And so when we're wiring these things up, the customer will be placing their orders in there. And that's going to be our next video, dumping that into the database. Okay, so we've already set up Entity Framework so that we can start doing all of that. And we're going to stop here. Hey, yo! 2021 has begun. Thank you so very much for watching these videos. Like and subscribe if you want to. I appreciate every way you support. Have a lovely day, night, just depending on what time it is in your part of the world.